Welcome back, dear viewers. Sixth round has ended, and we are having the following results. In women's section, Munguntul Kaldarova game ended in a draw. Kayarbekova Kurmangalieva draw. Danielian Balabaeva White managed to win the game. Osmak Kulon game ended in a draw, and Sultan Bek managed to win against Matnadze. Let's move to the men's section. Yes, we see that all games ended in a draw, and let me show my game, dear viewers. But before moving to my game, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It will take only few seconds, and also leave your comments. It is very important for the YouTube algorithm to make my YouTube channel more popular. Thank you. If you already subscribed, we can continue checking my game. So I had white pieces against Alisher Suleimanov, and I went e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6. Yes, I expected mainly e6. In this tournament, Alisher had e6 against Zhalmakhanov Ramazan, d4, c takes d, knight takes, I apologize, not bishop e3, of course, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, knight c6, and here a3, bishop e7. So I expected e6. Of course, earlier we faced each other in Dubai Police, where Alisher went d6, and after d4, c takes d, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3, he went knight c6. Classical variation. So I wasn't really sure what will Alisher choose for today's game, and I should mention that he was and we are teammates for the Portuguese league. And he played knight c6. He is always well prepared in the openings, and I was thinking before the game, what if he goes knight c6, what should I do, bishop b5 or d4, c takes d, knight d4, where black can go knight f6 and then e5, Sveshnikov, or maybe early Sveshnikov. Yes, and in the end, over the board, I went bishop c4. I tried to surprise my opponent. Here black is having many options. One of them is knight f6, the other is e6. I think g6 is also very much possible. Yes, my opponent played knight f6, and I went d3. Yes, I could also go e5, if d5, bishop b5, of course not d takes f, d takes c, bishop b5, and here knight d7 is an option. I think here knight g4 is also very much possible, because bishop f7 takes knight g5. Black is choosing between king g8 or king e8, and after queen takes g4, knight takes e5. Black is doing more or less fine. Yes, I checked this line some years or months ago, a long time ago. I did not prepare this line exactly for today, for today's game, so I didn't really remember my notes, and I played d3. Of course, black here can go like d6, e6, I'm sure g6. My opponent went d5, e takes d, knight takes d5, I played short castle, and here black is mainly choosing between bishop g4, e6 and g6 moves. I didn't like much g6 because always white gets knight on e4 and c5 pawn is hanging. Of course, if you go e6, then white can always go some rook e1, knight bd2, knight e4, maybe somewhere a3 or a4, most likely a3. Black will play bishop e7, short castle, maybe b6, bishop b7, but I think white is maybe very slightly better. Yes, of course, if you go bishop g4, my point was to go h3. If you take, then queen takes, bishop h5, knight bd2. Yes, most likely e6, knight e4. With the idea, if you go bishop e7, knight g3. If you take bishop f3, queen f3. If you go bishop g6, maybe some bishop b5 ideas can be there, with the idea to take bishop c6 or to jump knight e5. Yes, my opponent played very concrete chess, knight b6. I liked his approach, just trying to trade my bishop on c4. Of course, if bishop b3, knight a5 comes, yes, it was bishop b3 move was possible after knight a5. Let's say you allow black to take on b3, you take with the pawn, you open up a file, but I decided to go bishop b5, bishop d7, and I played knight c3. I could also go rook e1, but I wasn't sure about like a6, takes, knight e5, and queen d5. If queen g4, then h5 comes, if this. Yes, this is probably better than what I got in the game, but because of this I decided to start with knight c3. So now if a6, bishop c6, knight e5, black does not have queen d5. My opponent played e6, and here again I was choosing between bishop c6 and rook e1. I didn't really play rook e1 because of some knight d4. After the game, my opponent said that bishop e7 is also very much possible, like takes, knight e5. Now I'm threatening to take on c6. Let's say rook c8, queen g4, and some short castle. If bishop h6, then bishop f6. Yes, seems like this also works for black. Yes, but I didn't play rook e1 because of some knight d4. For example, you start with bishop d7. Yes, black can take with the queen. If knight takes d7, knight takes d4, c takes d, and here I wasn't sure where to go with the knight. After the game, Alisher said knight b5, queen b6, and queen h5. Very tricky move, threatening rook e6, queen e6, knight c7. Yes, maybe this really works. So that's why I took bishop c6, bishop takes c6, I went knight e5. And of course, if you go rook c8, the main point is being if somewhere, somehow, white is taking on c6, rook takes c6, or queen takes c6, black is having more than fine structure. The only problem is being that whenever you develop your dark squared bishop, then queen g4 comes. And the main question is being if black is in time to castle short side, then black is fine. If not, then black will have some problems. So queen c7, I did play rook e1. Of course, bishop f4, there is bishop d6, so I played rook e1. And here I was thinking about bishop d6. Let's say I take knight c6, queen takes c6, and some queen g4 ideas, or even knight e4 ideas. Yes, queen g4, you can go long castle, g7 is not really hanging. So I was thinking about bishop d6. My opponent went knight d7. Another interesting move, takes, and here I was considering few options. One of them was d4 with the idea to go d5, c takes d, queen takes d4. Yes, I wasn't sure about knight f6. Of course, here you don't really have moves with the bishop since g7 pawn is hanging, but even bishop g5, bishop c5 can be possible, and long castle. And then along g file, black is very active. Yes, I was also thinking about bishop g5, but didn't play it because of bishop d6. Didn't play queen g4 because of knight f6. And now you don't have enough good squares for the queen. If queen g3, then bishop d6 comes, and queen g7, rook g8. Yes, in the end I played knight e4. A long castle does not work because of knight g5. if you go bishop e7 and queen g4 comes and short castle bishop h6. Yes, maybe knight f6 would have been the strongest. Takes, and let's say queen h5. This was my point, but let's say some rook d8 with the idea to go rook d5. Yes, my opponent played bishop d6, and this I don't like at all, because I just took. For example, if some queen g4 then bishop e5 ideas are coming. So I played queen f3, and now surprisingly some problems are there. Pawn on b7 is hanging. You don't have long castle. You don't have rook b8. Yes, queen b6, and I played queen g3. And now black is in huge trouble, because yes, you can pause the video here. Why short castle move isn't working. Ready? Bishop h6, queen b2, and d4. Yes, if you go g6, then just bishop f8. White is exchange up, much better. Queen d4, rook d1 comes. And now if you move the queen, then rook d7. If you go queen f6, then bishop g5, and white is just taking on d7. White is winning. My opponent played king f8, and this definitely means that white is already much better. I was thinking about b3, but in the end I played bishop e3 because I realized that my opponent wants to go f6 and king f7 and slowly consolidate the position. I played bishop e3 with the idea if f6 then b4. Of course, queen b4 then queen d6 check comes. So I played queen c6. I went d4 to open up the center. C takes the bishop d4, f6, rook a d1. So I played c4. I went d5. If queen d5, rook a d1, it takes the bishop d4. Yes, if f6, then queen a3, king g8, rook e7. So knight f6. Almost the only move. Rook e5. Yes, it does look very promising for white, but my opponent continued h5. I played rook e1, h4. I played queen f4. He went rook h6. I played h3. I think first I played rook e7 to stop rook e8 ideas. Bishop f6 just wins. So king g8, I played h3. And here rook f8. More or less all this was force. And here I went rook c7, queen a4. If knight h5, then my point was not to take rook c6, knight f4, rook h6, g takes h. I wanted to go queen e5. Yes, my opponent played queen a4, and here I was already choosing between some queen d6. I could also take rook b7, queen c2, rook takes a7. I was also considering queen d6 with the idea queen f8, king f8, rook c8. Yes, but here I guess knight e8 is possible option, and now yes, rook is simply hanging. So I played bishop c5. And now if you go rook e8, of course knight e8, there is queen f7. If queen e8, queen b7, I think white is just doing much better. Maybe rook a8 would have been the strongest. Let's say rook e7, I was planning to play queen takes c2, rook f7, if rook g6, bishop d4, with the idea to take rook g7. My opponent played very tricky move, queen a5. Yes, c7 rook is protected, but rook on e1 is hanging, so I found this b4 interesting move. And the only move is being c takes b, bishop b4. And now let's say if you go some queen a2, then bishop f8 just finishes the game. b2, I can just take rook b7. Here my opponent found this knight h5 tricky move, and I played rook f7. Yes, rook f7, there is queen b8 and bishop a5. If you move the queen, then rook f8 comes. If you take knight f4, then rook f8, bishop a5. And here my opponent found the only move, queen takes b4. And I don't like my decision of taking queen b4. Of course, after taking the queen, white is anyway winning. But maybe I could take rook takes g7, knight g7, queen b4, and now doesn't matter if you take b takes c, then queen d2. If you go rook b6, queen d2, or if you take b takes c, queen b7, I apologize. Rook b6, queen d2, b takes a, queen b7, and rook b6, queen d2, b2, queen d5 should be completely winning. Yes, I took queen b4, rook takes f7, I took a takes b, my opponent went knight f4, and you know this rook g6 is quite unpleasant. I went rook e7, I could also go rook e8, king h7, rook e7, I played rook e7, rook b6, and here I'm not sure why I didn't play queen c5, after which position is completely winning. So I played queen e1, I allowed my opponent to go rook g6. And now I took rook f7, he took king f7, and here just let's say king h1 and game should end very soon. For example, you cannot really take with the knight. After queen e5 your knight is almost trapped. So rook takes g2, queen e3, g5, queen takes a7, and the problem is being that black is losing b7 pawn as well, and f2 is not really hanging because with the checks I'm taking on f2. Yes, I could also go g3, let's say h takes, f takes, rook g3, not queen g3, king f2. I think this also should be quite unpleasant. For some reason I played king f1, my opponent took rook g2, I played queen e3, doesn't matter, queen e5, g5 comes, so I played queen e3, he went g5, I took on a7, he played rook h6, rook h2, I took on b7, and here my opponent played king g6. Yes, and the best would have been here to go king g1, and if rook g2, king h1, rook f2, queen b6. If you take rook h3, then this position is after b4 close to winning for white. So I played queen c6. I just thought we both were in time trouble. I thought let's cross the time control and later on we will see, but it turns out that after king f5 it's not easy at all. The problem is if king g1 the rook g2 comes, if king h1 rook takes f2, if king f1 rook h2. If you go king e1 then rook h3 and h pawn is very dangerous, so I played this check, king, and no, here he even played king e4 and we repeated a few times and game ended in a draw. Of course, very painful game. I think more or less I was very close to win it. Let's check with the engines to see what happened. Yes, e6, short castle d5, it takes bishop b5, so knight f6, and here of course e5 is the strongest. And d5 you go bishop b5, and if knight g4 you don't take bishop f7, you just go queen e2, and f6 it takes knight f6. Yes, I played d3 and black is just fine. Black is just fine. Yes, d5 takes, short castle. Yes, e6 is fine. Knight f6 is fine. Bishop g4, e6 and a6, so knight b6, and bishop b5, bishop d7. Yes, knight c3, a4, knight b2, rook e1. Yeah, the rook e1, e6, takes, queen d5. So I played knight c3, e6. Yes, I didn't play it. Bishop e7 is there, and bishop e7 is just fine. And what if I take? If I go, And yes, this is just fine for black. And what about this? This does not really work. You just take, and here, yes, this is slightly better, preferable position. So I took bishop c6, I played knight e5, and rook c8 would have been stronger. Queen c7, rook e1, and you know, some pressure is there, and white is, as you can see, almost 0.40 better. Knight d7 my opponent found. I played knight e4, and yes, not easy, not easy. Rook d8. Yes, if you go knight f6, then takes, queen h5, rook d8, and white is being better. And bishop d6, yes, I played queen f3. He went, yes, queen c7, bishop f4. So this I played queen g3. And short castle does not really work. Bishop h6, d4. Yes, I found another interesting move. Bishop e3, queen c6, I played d4. c4, I played d5. E takes d, I played bishop d4, knight f6. Yes, and along e-file, white should place the rook e5, h5, rook e1. Yes, h4 or rook h6, so h4, queen f4, rook h6, I played rook e7 or h3, both moves are fine. King g8, I played h3. Yes, and here rook c8, my opponent played rook f8, rook c7, and knight h5, queen e5, queen a4 he did play. I went bishop c5, and here, yes, rook e8, and rook b7. He played, yes, I was thinking about this, but rook e7, rook f7, and bishop d4. So I played queen a5 and b4. Takes bishop b4, knight h5, he went rook takes f7, queen h6 also wins. Queen h6, queen c7, queen h5, queen h6, queen b4, and what? Queen e3 or queen c1 or c3? What if this? c3. Yes, I took here queen b4 and of course just rook g7. Rook g7 would have been much stronger. Okay, takes, a takes b. Yes, rook e8, rook f8, rook e8, rook f8. I played rook e7, rook b6, queen c5, just queen c5. I played queen e1, rook e8, rook h8, just queen e3, just queen e3. But not king f1, not king f1. Queen e3 or king h1, yes, king f1, rook g2, and position is not easy at all. Yes, queen e5 and yes, queen e5, g5, queen f5, king g7, b4. I played queen e3, g5, I took on a7, rook h2, I took here, and my opponent went wrong with king g6 because now, yes, king f6 and black is fine. King g1 and b4. Yes, I played check, and after king f5. Yes. Yes, I was winning. I had starting from here. Yes, rook g7, queen b4, a takes b. Yes, I could go rook e8, rook f8, rook e7, or here, let's say, queen c5, queen e1, takes, and queen e3 or king h1. Yes, after king f1, this one already was harder to understand. I just played queen c6 and I thought I will cross time control, and after 30 minutes increment we'll see what is happening, but it was already too late. Let's move and let's check the pairings. Let's check the pairings for 7th round. Vitaly Sivuk will face Ansat Aldiyar, Alexander Rakhmanov, Aditya Mittal, Ramazan Jalmakhanov against Aristanbek Urazaev, Alisher Suleimanov against Denis Makhnev, and with the black pieces I will be facing Mervert Kamalidenova. Yes, it is definitely going to be very tough round. Let's also move to see the pairings for women's tournament. And yes, we see Matnadze Munguntul, Kulon Sultanbek, Balabaeva Osmak, Kormangalieva Danielian, Kaldarova Kairbekova. Hopefully Munguntul will feel much better and will continue her tournament. She is skipping already few games because of health issues. I wish her all the best and to recover very, very soon. Yes, please, dear viewers, spend a couple of seconds and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yes, hope you liked this video. I really feel this pain not converting, not winning completely winning position, but what to do? It's already late. You cannot really change anything. Thank you.